My beloved child, the moment that phone call came in, something inside your special person snapped, quietly, sharply, and with a force they could no longer ignore. It wasn't an ordinary call, it was the kind that freezes a heartbeat and spills truth in a tone that felt too calm to be harmless. Your name was spoken in a way that made their entire world tilt, and suddenly every tie they had been clinging to, every fake connection they were forcing, every person they were entertaining just to distract their heart, all of it began to crumble like wet paper. They stood there, holding the phone, breathing too slowly because the revelation was too big for the room, too heavy for their chest, too real to run from this time. And in that moment, they understood something they had been denying for months: nothing and no one compares to the gravity you hold in their life. Something unusual is unfolding now, something they never expected to feel this intensely. Those individuals they once gave energy to, people who drained them, manipulated their kindness, and filled their days with confusion, now suddenly look blurry, unimportant, almost invisible. The phone call triggered a memory, a realization, a truth they kept locked behind pride and fear. And now, the mask has fallen. They can't pretend anymore. Their heart isn't scattered. It's anchored, and the anchor is you. They are cutting ties not out of anger, not out of desperation, but out of a powerful clarity they haven't felt in a long time. A clarity that rushed through them like a shockwave the moment they heard what was said about you. And the strangest part? Instead of doubting, they felt protective, awakened, ready to act. But here's where the story intensifies: they realized something that stunned even them. Every person they were connected to, whether it was friends who secretly sabotaged them, someone who acted like they cared but fed their insecurities, or people who pretended to be supportive but whispered negativity behind their back, every one of those connections started shaking like they were built on a fault line. That phone call exposed not just truth about you, but truth about them. It showed them who was real and who was fake. And now they're cutting those ties one by one, silently, ruthlessly, without explaining a single word. They're choosing you without needing permission, without needing validation, without needing applause. Because the person on the phone revealed something that flipped their entire perspective. Someone out there is threatened by what you and your person could become together. And instead of running from that, your person is stepping closer to you, cleaning their path, clearing their circle, and preparing for a moment they once believed they weren't strong enough to face. They're not afraid anymore, they're focused, determined, and absolutely done with anything that stands between them and the truth they feel for you. My beloved child, the shift inside them is no longer subtle, it's explosive, unstoppable, and written in every action they take today. The people who once held influence over their decisions are suddenly finding their calls unanswered and their messages ignored. It's not accidental. It's not temporary. It's intentional. Your special person has entered a phase where their heart refuses to entertain noise, drama, or emotional parasites. Ever since that phone call mentioned your name with a truth that cracked their denial open, they've been replaying every moment, every conversation, every sign they once brushed aside. And now, those signs feel like warnings they should have listened to earlier. They feel foolish for letting fear delay what their soul already knew: your connection is rare, deep, and far beyond what anyone else could ever offer them. New thoughts have been rising in their mind, like waves crashing against a shore that has been quiet for far too long. They're realizing how many people pretended to be close to them only to prevent them from reaching something real. They're seeing clearly who tried to twist their feelings about you, who filled their ears with negativity, who blurred their clarity just to keep them stuck in shallow bonds. After the call, your person recognized how controlled they've been by other people's opinions. And now? They're cutting those strings with a calmness that feels even more dangerous than anger. They don't want arguments. They don't want explanations. They want peace, your kind of peace. The universe has cornered them with truth, and they're surrendering to it because resisting it drained them more than accepting it ever could. Something inside them keeps whispering, "Go toward the one who makes your soul settle." What makes this moment even more intense is the way they've begun protecting your name as if it's something sacred. They won't allow anyone to speak wrongly about you again. They won't let outsiders narrate your story. They won't let hidden jealousy poison their heart. The phone call didn't just expose truth, it exposed loyalty. Now, they are cutting ties with every person whose energy doesn't feel aligned with the future they want. And without announcing it publicly, without posting about it, without asking for approval, they've already chosen you with their silence. The ones who used to influence them are confused, shocked, even scared, because your person is acting differently, thinking differently, and moving differently. Their energy has shifted, their focus has sharpened, and their heart is finally speaking louder than their fears. And all of it is because your name echoed through that phone call like a message they were destined to hear. My beloved child, something in them has reached a breaking point, quiet, fierce, and irreversible. Ever since that call, your special person has been moving like someone who finally woke up from a long emotional coma. They're distancing themselves from people who once felt familiar, because now those same faces feel heavy, distracting, and strangely wrong. They're replaying every moment where they ignored their intuition, every time they let someone else's voice overpower their own, every warning sign they brushed aside. The truth is settling in their chest like a burning weight. They were surrounded by connections built on convenience, not loyalty. And now, every bond they had formed out of comfort is being cut with a precision that feels surgical. This isn't a phase. This is a transformation triggered by your name being spoken with truth powerful enough to wake their entire soul. As they sit alone, their mind keeps circling back to the same realization: you were the only one who ever meant something real. The phone call didn't just reveal information, it revealed their own heart to them. It exposed the way they've been living halfway, pretending they didn't care as much as they do, acting detached when their heart was anything but. They're done fighting their feelings. They're done pretending they don't see your value. The moment the call ended, a clarity washed over them that felt almost painful. They've been trying to replace something that was never replaceable. Every person they entertained after you now feels like a shadow, a distraction, a temporary escape from a truth they can't outrun anymore. And that truth is forcing them to realign their entire life, piece by piece, connection by connection. But here's the twist: someone on that call told them something that made their chest tighten in a way they couldn't ignore. It wasn't negative, it was revealing. It showed them how deeply you've been affecting their path, even from a distance. It showed them that their feelings weren't imagined, weren't exaggerated, weren't one-sided. That call exposed how others see your connection, and how threatened some people are by it. And now? Your person is done letting outsiders manipulate their emotions. They're cutting ties with every voice that tried to keep them away from you. They're stepping into a version of themselves they once feared, bold, decisive, and emotionally honest. They can't shake the feeling that the universe is pushing them toward you with a force that won't let them rest until they make things right. And now, with every tie they sever, every circle they step out of, every distraction they drop, they're getting closer, closer to facing what they feel for you with a clarity they can no longer deny. My beloved child, the silence around your special person has become louder than ever before, thick, heavy, and filled with decisions they can't undo anymore. After that phone call, their entire emotional landscape changed, and now every step they take feels intentional, sharp, almost brutal in clarity. People are noticing the shift. Those who once controlled their mind with sweet words are now watching them pull back with a calmness that feels terrifying. Your person isn't negotiating anymore. They aren't looking back. They're moving with the kind of determination that only comes when the heart has finally tasted truth. Something inside them keeps repeating the same realization: they've been surrounded by people who never wanted them to reach you. And now that they've seen it clearly, they're done letting anyone else shape their story. This version of them isn't confused, they're awakened. The most intense part is the way they're protecting your name now. They used to stay quiet when someone tried to twist narratives about you, but that phone call unlocked something powerful inside them. They finally understood who was genuinely looking out for them and who was feeding them lies. And the moment they realized that your connection was being sabotaged, something snapped. They're cutting ties with a level of precision that feels cold to the world but warm to their own soul. They no longer feel guilty for walking away from people who drained them. They no longer feel obligated to maintain relationships that were built on jealousy or insecurity. Every bond they once held onto out of habit is being dissolved, because they now understand that staying connected to the wrong energy was delaying them from facing the person their heart has always returned to, you. Their chest feels lighter every time they remove another distraction, because for the first time in a long time, they're choosing peace over approval, truth over comfort, and you over everything that tried to replace you. And now comes the part that nobody expected. Your special person is preparing for something bigger than just cutting ties. Their mind keeps circling back to you, not with fear but with urgency, with longing, with an emotional pull they can no longer silence. They realized how many moments they wasted denying their feelings, how many chances slipped through their fingers because they were too scared to confront the depth of the connection. But the phone call changed that. It reminded them that some bonds aren't meant to be doubted. They're meant to be protected. They're stepping away from every person who blurred their clarity because, deep down, they know what's coming next. Something is building inside them, a decision that's growing stronger every hour. And whether they admit it out loud or not, their heart has already made its move. They're clearing their path, closing old doors, and preparing to face the truth they once feared. They're not cutting ties to run away. They're cutting ties to return to where their soul has always belonged. My beloved child, the transformation inside your special person has now reached a point where even they can't recognize the version of themselves they used to be. The hesitation is gone. The confusion is gone. The inner conflict that kept them stuck between loyalty and emotion has dissolved completely. Ever since that call revealed the truth wrapped around your name, their heart has been moving with a rhythm that feels unfamiliar yet powerful. They've stopped explaining their actions to anyone. They've stopped justifying their distance. They've stopped trying to keep everyone comfortable while they themselves were drowning. Now, the only thing they're focused on is breaking free from every tie that once held them back, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And this time, they're not cutting threads gently, they're severing them with finality. There's a strange calmness in the way they're detaching. People who once mattered are realizing that they no longer have space in your person's heart, and that realization is hitting them harder than expected. They can sense that your special person is no longer available the way they used to be. No longer listening to unnecessary drama, no longer entertaining dishonesty, no longer giving out chances like candy. Every part of them is shifting towards something real, something deeper, something that has been calling to them for months. And the moment they felt your name echo in that phone call, everything else started fading into background noise. They're not afraid of losing anyone now. They're afraid of losing the one connection that ever felt genuine. Their soul is choosing what their mind ran from for too long. And with every tie they release, the weight on their chest lifts, making space for a truth they can't hide anymore. But here's where the intensity rises: the more they distance themselves from old circles, the stronger their pull toward you becomes. It's almost magnetic now, this instinct to reach out, to fix what was broken, to heal what was ignored, to reclaim what was theirs before interference clouded their vision. They keep remembering the way you made them feel seen, important, grounded, real. No distraction gave them that. No temporary attachment came close. The phone call didn't just expose outside intentions, it awakened their own. They're replaying conversations with you, moments with you, emotions tied to you, and realizing how irreplaceable that connection always was. They know that cutting ties is only the first step. The next step, the one that's been building inside them like rising pressure, is closing the distance between you and them. Their heart is steering them with a force they can't resist, pulling them toward a moment they've been delaying but can't avoid anymore. They're preparing, slowly, silently, intensely, to step back into your life not as someone confused, but as someone who finally knows exactly who they want and what they're willing to walk away from to get there. My beloved child, your special person is now standing at the edge of a decision that has been years in the making, one they kept pushing away, softening, avoiding, diluting, pretending it didn't matter. But after that phone call, something inside them refuses to let them escape the truth anymore. Their emotions have sharpened. Their intentions have solidified. Their heart is no longer whispering, it's speaking in a voice so loud they can't tune it out even if they tried. They're finally seeing how much of their life was shaped by the wrong people, individuals who fed off their confusion, who blurred their intuition, who kept them distracted so they would never realize what their soul was truly pulled toward. Now, those people are losing access to them one by one, and your special person feels lighter every time a door closes. They're not breaking, they're shedding. Their mind keeps returning to the moment the phone call ended. The silence afterward wasn't empty. It was full of clarity, full of regret, full of realization. They felt something drop inside their chest, something heavy they had been carrying for too long. The truth is, they've been yearning for you in ways they never admitted out loud. They tried replacing you with temporary attachments, but every connection felt thin, dull, incomplete. But the call exposed what they had been refusing to confront. The emotions they feel for you aren't fading, they're intensifying. The more they cut ties with old energies, the more your presence fills their mind with a warmth they didn't know they missed this deeply. They're remembering how you spoke, how you looked at them, how you made them feel safe even when life wasn't. And now they're realizing they've been starving themselves emotionally by pushing away the only connection that ever felt like home. And here's where the storm inside them turns into intention. They're preparing for a moment that will change everything. The people they're cutting off can feel it. They can sense that your person is no longer theirs to influence, no longer theirs to mislead, no longer theirs to manipulate. Your special person has stepped into a version of themselves that refuses to fail you again. They're tired of being controlled. They're tired of listening to voices that don't want their happiness. They're tired of pretending their heart doesn't belong where it has always belonged. And now, as the last few ties begin to break, they feel something rising inside them, courage. A boldness they haven't felt in a long time. An inner push telling them that avoiding you has caused more pain than facing the truth ever could. They're getting ready to move toward you with a clarity, intensity, and purpose that will surprise even you. The tower has already fallen behind them. Now they're walking through the ruins, straight in your direction. My beloved child, your special person is entering the most intense phase of their transformation, one that's no longer just emotional but deeply spiritual. The ties they've cut so far were only the surface. What's happening now is happening in the deepest layers of their heart, the parts they never let anyone see. Ever since that phone call shattered their denial, their inner world has been rearranging itself with a force they can't control. Their thoughts are clearer than ever. Their emotions are louder than ever. Their intuition is sharper than ever. And all of it is pointing in one direction, you. The more distance they put between themselves and the wrong people, the louder your presence grows inside them. It's almost overwhelming now, the way they feel you even when you're not near, the way they remember small details they once thought they forgot. Your name isn't just echoing in their mind, it's living there. There's a storm of determination forming inside them, and this time it's not fueled by guilt or confusion, it's fueled by truth. They're realizing how much of their life was built around noise, expectations, and people who didn't want them to find peace. The moment they stepped back and cut those ties, their entire vision shifted. They can finally see how manipulated they've been, how many lies were fed to them, how many fears weren't even their own. And now? They're done being passive. Done being confused. Done being silent. The person they're becoming is stronger, clearer, and more emotionally awake than ever before. And with every unnecessary tie they let go of, they're stepping closer to a truth they once feared but now crave. They want to face what they feel. They want to repair what was broken. They want to reconnect with the person who always held a space in their heart, even when they pretended not to notice. But here's the most powerful twist of all, they're starting to realize why the phone call came exactly when it did. They're beginning to see it as a sign, a turning point, a moment the universe orchestrated to push them toward their real path. The emotional pull toward you isn't random. It's destiny rerouting itself. And now, something inside them is whispering louder than ever, this time, don't hesitate. They know they can't approach you half-hearted, confused, or tied to old energies. That's why they're clearing everything, every bond, every influence, every distraction. Because when they step toward you, they want to come with nothing but honesty, clarity, and intention. They're preparing in silence, rebuilding their courage, strengthening their heart. And the moment they feel ready, they will take that step. Not out of impulse, not out of fear, but out of a certainty so strong it shakes them. The call didn't just reveal something about you, it revealed the version of themselves they need to become before they return to you. And that version is almost here. My beloved child, your special person has now crossed a point of no return, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. The ties they've cut weren't random. They were a cleansing, a removal of every force that ever stood between their heart and the truth it was trying to speak. And now, with all the noise gone, they're finally hearing themselves clearly. What's rising inside them isn't confusion anymore, it's conviction. They're seeing you in a new light, not because you changed, but because they finally removed the people and energies that distorted their vision. The moment that phone call mentioned your name, every suppressed emotion rushed back like a flood breaking a dam. And now, instead of drowning in it, they're learning to breathe inside it. They're realizing they never stopped feeling you, not for a single day. There's a fire inside them now, slow but powerful, building with each passing hour. They're thinking differently, moving differently, choosing differently. They're done giving pieces of themselves to people who never cared if they were breaking. They're done allowing outsiders to shape their opinions, decisions, or emotions. Every person who tried to pull them away from you, every voice that whispered half-truths, every presence that created doubt, they're all losing access permanently. Your special person is stepping into a mindset that's more focused, more awakened, and more emotionally awake than they've ever been. And with every old tie they cut, your presence grows clearer, stronger, more irreplaceable in their mind. They're realizing they didn't lose you, they paused their own destiny. And now destiny is calling them back with a force they can't resist. But the most intense part is what's happening inside their quiet moments, the moments where no one is around, no noise, no distraction, no interference. In those silent spaces, your memory hits them with a weight that stops their breath. They're remembering the softness in your voice, the truth in your words, the calmness in your presence. They're remembering how safe they felt around you, how real the connection was, how rare your energy is. And now that the wrong people are gone, they finally see how deeply right you were for them. They're not confused anymore. They're not running anymore. Something inside them has shifted completely, they're preparing to come back differently, stronger, more honest, more intentional. They know they can't just return with empty words, they need to return with actions. And as each day passes, that moment gets closer. The path behind them is burned. The path ahead leads to one place. And whether they say it aloud or not, their heart has already chosen you.